Can you hear the music? The fans are cheering. They're super stoked that Tom Brady won his 7th Super Bowl. And just so you know, Billy, the coin, and myself, we're the only ones that picked Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win the Super Bowl. So high five, Billy.
Hey.
Oh, and the coin. Here you go. Boop.
High five the coin. Yeah.
Is it recording? Yeah, we're recording. Thumbs up all around. So as you see, I dressed up for the occasion. I figured
Me too. Did you notice?
I did notice you're wearing red.
I'm wearing red. Mostly though, because this is a Star Trek shirt, right? And anybody in Star Trek that wears a red shirt, they get killed, which is exactly what the Buccaneers did to the Chiefs wearing red. So yeah, so this is me dressing up for the show. Yeah.
I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah, what was the final score? 31-9? I think that's what it was.
31-9. 31-9.
I lost track after they got 28, and it was the fourth quarter, and I thought to myself, hey, a team's done it before. But the Chiefs couldn't do what the other team had done before. So yeah, thanks for being here. We're missing our elite sports mind, but that's okay. He's doing other things tonight. That's okay.
I'm here.
Billy's here. Austin's here. Lent's here. Lent's looking fresh with his new computer. Can't really.
Thank you.
Can't really tell, but I see you're wearing your Demaryius Thomas jersey, right?
Yes, I am wearing my Demaryius Thomas jersey because this is the jersey I wore the last time I actually got to cheer for a team that won the Super Bowl, which was the Broncos won Peyton Manning in 2016.
Speaking of the Broncos, this Super Bowl kind of reminded me how the Broncos Seahawks went, and just as far as a blowout goes, I mean, there were some mistakes. Patrick Mahomes didn't look like Patrick Mahomes at all. You know, he was limping majority of the game, but Tom Brady was doing, to quote Dookie, Tom Brady was doing Tom Brady things, and he won his 7th Super Bowl. I found sound bites. You're in trouble now.
No, I heard that Tom Brady now has, what is it, was it 17% of all Super Bowls ever played now?
Something along the lines of that.
That's awesome.
Every 6 years he goes to a Super Bowl. Since he was born, every 6 years he's been to one Super Bowl.
And now, correct me if I'm wrong. I heard that he personally has more rings than the other clubs. That can't be right. Did I hear that, or is that true?
Tom Brady has more Super Bowl rings than any other team has in general. The Patriots, obviously, Tom Brady won 6 of them, and then Steelers have 6 as well. But Tom had 7. I think the big question is, can he get 8?
Honestly, from what I'm hearing, like a large part of that team is coming back. Gronk says he wants to come back. Peterson says he wants to come back. A couple of the players said today they're going to take pay cuts.
Mike Evans said that he's willing to take a pay cut, whatever it takes, to get that team together again so he can win another championship. Which, that's a cool guy move.
Who's going to beat them? Who's going to beat him in the NFC? I mean,
got teams coming up next year. Packers. I don't ever sleep on the Packers and Aaron Rodgers. So,
I mean,
we don't know.
I definitely don't, but he hasn't shown that he can get there. I mean, once.
10 years. In 10 years. You know?
The biggest problem for Aaron Rodgers is the team he plays for, honestly. And I mean, that's my team, but you know, they don't play to win. You know, they play to be good enough to be the Packers, you know, and that's all they do.
Speaking of Aaron Rodgers, before we get into all the Super Bowl talk and round table and talking about the Super Bowl, congratulations to Aaron Rodgers for being the MVP once again. On Sunday, 3 times. 3 times?
3 times.
We were at the bar watching the Super Bowl. I was with Austin, and we're in Wisconsin. Whoever's watching this that doesn't know, about halfway through the game when Patrick Mahomes I don't know, threw a bad pass or something, all of a sudden we hear this guy, this is why he's not MVP. This is why Aaron Rodgers is MVP. And just like spouting off about how much Aaron Rodgers is the best. And it was funny. It was funny. Made me laugh.
So the interesting thing about Rodgers' third MVP is he's only the second quarterback ever to win 3 MVPs and only 1 Super Bowl title. Does anybody know who the other quarterback is?
I'm holding up his number.
Billy. Oh, you're holding up a 4. Or
He's
you
holding
raising
up
your
the
hand?
number of the correct guy. So it's just kind of interesting to me to see that the Packers organization has 2 quarterbacks with 3 MVPs apiece, but each of them only had 1 Super Bowl title. I think that's something that Billy had touched on a little bit earlier, and it's just interesting to see that they seem to have some elite play at the quarterback level, but have only been able to snag 2 Super Bowls out of them, and that's got to be disappointing for Packers fans.
No, it's got to be 100%. Let's see here. Is he moving again? Yes, he's moving again. You were frozen for a second. That's probably on me. So yeah, we can round table the Super Bowl. Start with who do I want to start with?
Start with 88 down there. He's going to kick us off.
I think
actually when he gets done, there's not going to be anything left to talk about. So that's good.
Maybe we'll just hop on right to the trade rumors again and the gossip. So yeah, what do you have number 88 Super Bowl?
Well, I know everybody, Tom Brady won his MVP, his 5th Super Bowl MVP, which is amazing and incredible. But I think that the real MVP of the game was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. I mean, Devin White came out. He had 12 tackles total. He had 8 solo tackles. He had 2 tackles for a loss, and he had an interception. I mean, he was an animal out there leading that defense. Antoine Winfield Jr. in that secondary, 2 targets thrown at, 1 interception, 1 pass broken up. So literally 0 for 2 when they went his way, and he took the ball the other way. I really think you have to give a big shout out to Jason Light. He's the GM of the Tampa Bay organization, and he has really put together a solid team. They had a joke that they were saying earlier in the offseason that using the phrase from Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come. And it was, if you build it, Brady will come. And he really did a great job of building up that core. I mean, if you look at his recent drafts, in 2020, he drafted their tackle, Wirfs. He drafted Antoine Winfield Jr. with his first 2 picks. 2019, he drafted Devin White, and he drafted Murphy Bunting in the first 2 picks. 2018, he drafted Vita Vea and Ronald Jones in the first 2 picks. I mean, all those guys contributed on Sunday during that Super Bowl. All those guys came out there and they made a difference. And then not to mention all the free agent pickups that he made this offseason, obviously the most important being Tom Brady. I think the biggest difference in the game was the matchup between the Chiefs offensive line and the Buccaneers defensive line. We talked about this last week about how the Chiefs were banged up, how they were missing both of their tackles, and how the Buccaneers were really able to get after Aaron Rodgers when they played against him in the NFC Championship game. I think that's what made all the difference. I mean, every single time that Mahomes was dropping back, he had a Buccaneers player in his face. They only had 3 sacks during the game, but they pressured him an incredible amount of times.
Right.
He had his lowest QB rating ever of 52.3. And after the games, Mina Kimes from ESPN tweeted out that Brady was pressured on 9.5% of his dropbacks, which is minimal. And then Patrick Mahomes was pressured on 29 of 56 dropbacks, which is the most in Super Bowl history. I heard a pretty funny comment earlier in the day about how Patrick Mahomes is the only other quarterback the guy on the radio mentioned how Patrick Mahomes and Fran Tarkington over here are the only quarterbacks that he's seen run so many yards backwards during a Super Bowl. So it was really interesting to hear that comparison. And then overall, the Buccaneers defense came out to play. Todd Bowles deserves all the credit in the world. And then so does Bruce Arians and Byron Leftwich for creating an offensive scheme that was able to pick apart that Chiefs defense. I mean, the Chiefs defense looked, I don't even know what they looked like. They looked like Swiss cheese out there. They had so many holes. Brady was just picking them apart. It was really interesting to see how that worked out. And then on the other side of the ball, Andy Reid, his MO throughout his career has been poor clock management. And the way they managed the clock at the end of the first half, you really have to question what was going through his mind. I know he wanted to try and get the ball back to let Mahomes have one more shot down the field, But on 3rd and 2, you wasted a timeout. Tampa Bay ends up getting the first down. They keep the ball. You stop the clock for them, and then they drove down the field and scored. So instead of going into halftime being down 14-6 and getting the ball back, they were down 21-6, getting the ball back, and then they were forced to come out and pass the ball. And Tampa was ready for that. They had that going. And then this is the first game ever as Patrick Mahomes, quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs, where they never scored a touchdown. So I really do think all the credit in the world has to go to Tampa Bay's defense. I know that Tom Brady was the MVP, but if you look at it and you look at the way that game went down, I think Tampa Bay's defense was the real star.
I think you're absolutely right that their defense was by far the star. I mean, yeah, Brady threw three touchdowns. Sorry. But I mean, at the end of the day, it was the defense, but they're not going to give the MVP to the defense. They do that sometimes. The touch base on something that you had mentioned about their GM, right? That what you said earlier? What's his name?
Jason Light.
So 3 players on the Bucs scored touchdowns that weren't on the team last year. They were players. I've been calling them implants. They're players that were implanted into Tampa to go to Tampa and win a Super Bowl. It was Antonio Brown, who, I mean, I think he lives with Brady. Gronk, all of a sudden he showed up. Ooh, now I remember my conspiracy theory. I'll tell you after the show. And Leonard Fournette. And don't forget about their kicker, Suckup. You know, he kicked 1 field goal, 4 extra points, and they're all coming back next year, sounds like. Tom Brady,
Fournette's the only one that's Fournette's the only question mark, but running backs, they're,
yeah,
they'll find another one, but he wants to get paid.
I heard Tom Brady text his team on Sunday morning that said, "We will win this game." I thought that was, is that something in your notes to say?
Yep.
Yeah. Do you let's get to the gossip in a moment. But I can see Austin's itching. He's itching to say something about Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady or the Bucs or something. What do you got?
So watching the game, obviously we watched it together. I was very shocked of the outcome of the game. If you told me that this was going to be a blowout against the Chiefs, I would call you crazy. I'd call you like, I wouldn't even know what to call you. That's an incredible thing, having the Chiefs getting blown out would be my last thought of the day. But watching the Buccaneers defense, you got to say one thing and one thing only: defense wins championships.
Sure does.
Look what the Broncos did. Look what the Giants did. Look what this Buccaneers defense did. All these defenses won them championships.
Right.
Now, I'm not taking anything away from Tom Brady. Tom Brady played a phenomenal game. And really, he didn't have to do that much. He just was kind of there, picked apart the defense and said, "See you later. We're up 21-6 at half. We're going to go on autopilot. Now we're just going to keep scoring. We're going to keep hammering you down. We're going to chase Patrick Mahomes all across the football field." Patrick Mahomes ran for, I think, over 400 yards, running for his life all day on Sunday night.
Yeah.
You cannot have your quarterback run for his life on a bad toe. Now, this toe, I think it might have been affecting him, but that's no excuse. And what I like Patrick Mahomes and why I like him so much is that he doesn't use that as an excuse after the game. When they go to the press conference, they talk to him after the game, and he says, "That's not an excuse. I can't use this excuse. I didn't use it against Buffalo. I'm not going to use it here. That's on me." And he took full responsibility. And that's just the sign of a great leadership. And he's 25. He still has so much room to grow. If you're 25 and you go to the conference game, to the Super Bowl, in your first 3 years, it just kind of shows you how much ahead and how much success you have as a quarterback. I mean, we can talk people like that. I mean, Tom Brady. Tom Brady is the next closest person that was like that. In his first year, he did fine. And then next year, he wins the Super Bowl. It's just pretty incredible how far this team's gotten.
He won a Super Bowl his first year starting. So his first,
Correct.
well, and technically he didn't even start that full year. I mean, that was Drew Brees. And I'm sorry, Drew Bledsoe. Not
There
Drew Brees. It was Drew Bledsoe. And then
He's a Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan. He doesn't know the Patriots. Anyway, continue.
Oh yeah, okay. I mean, we know that whole story with Bledsoe and Brady. Just to let you know, Brady, I mean, he threw 3 touchdowns for 201 yards, 0 interception. Go on the other side of the field, you got Patrick Mahomes, who threw 2 interceptions, 0 touchdowns, but he threw 270 yards. And he was on the run the entire game, it seemed like, especially that second half.
Absolutely. And I mean, if you're going to do that to a quarterback, it's gonna hurt, especially when you have a bad foot. You can't run. He's hurting, and he was making plays with his feet early in the game too. He was running in. He was running for small gains, first downs, and everything like that.
Right.
The coverage was so good down the field on Tyreek Hill, on Travis Kelce, Mecole Hardman, Sammy Watkins. All these people were just covered well. And it seemed like every single play, someone's getting through to get to Patrick Mahomes. And there was so much pressure on him all day. And he didn't have a chance to beat Patrick Mahomes. And that was probably the game plan, is not let him make that play downfield. And you could see it. He had one of his worst performances. Actually, it is his worst performance as an NFL quarterback. He had a sub 55 passer rating. And I mean, it's hard to win a game when you're below 55 for a passer rating.
Well, if you give the team that Tom Brady plays for 70% of the time, they're going to end up winning that Super Bowl because
Mm-hmm. I mean, Patriots, now look at me. I'm thinking Tom Brady. When you look at the Buccaneers, you look at this team, and I mean, on the offense, they did everything right. Tom Brady, he's being successful, no interceptions, no bad plays, no really negative yards, and he's throwing the ball 3 touchdowns. And you look at the run game, I think they had 145 yards rushing. Playoff Lenny, they couldn't really stop him either. They had no answer for the run game, no answer for the pass game. The defense, like you said, Swiss cheese, got picked apart. You can't win a game like that. You got to play both sides of the field. And unfortunately, Chiefs didn't show up on either side. And that includes special teams. I saw the punt. That punt was the worst punt I think I've ever seen.
That was his second try, too, because the first time they got a penalty.
Yep.
We want to talk about the penalties.
And you get penalties were bad, and it seemed like everything was going against the Chiefs. I'm not going to talk about penalties. Talk about penalties or not, that game was completely dominated by the Buccaneers, head to toe. There's no question about it. But I mean, the Chiefs' special teams, their defense, their offense just was not clicking at all that day. And it's sad to see because I mean, the first time they crossed paths, Tyreek Hill has 200 yards in a quarter in 15 minutes. Second time, Tyreek Hill is who? Who is it? Tyreek Hill? Never heard of him.
They worked them. They knew exactly what they were going to do. You kept calling it out the whole time. They're baiting them. And they
wanted to bait, and that's what they did. And I saw that in the week against the first time the Buccaneers played the Packers. They baited Rodgers multiple times, and he threw 2 back-breaking interceptions. One was a pick 6. Another one was just a baited interception. They want to bait the quarterback. They want to play aggressive like that. And, I mean, it worked. It worked against Aaron Rodgers multiple times, and it obviously worked against Patrick Mahomes this last time. They want to bait that offense to throw, make that risky throw, make that tight throw where the corners and safeties will get in between that and they can make a play. That's what they want, and that's what they did all day. And they made Patrick Mahomes run for his life. So overall, an unbelievable performance by the Buccaneers. That was really a one-sided game. One of the most one-sided games I've seen since the Seahawks and the Broncos.
Seahawks, Denver. How about you, Billy? You got a chance. Did you watch the game live or did you record it and watch it later?
Well, I was watching it just a little bit time shifted, so that's why I wasn't replying to you.
I was wondering. I was like,
my phone.
I don't want to give anything away.
Yeah, so it was a little time shifted, and I obviously wasn't fast forwarding commercial this time, so it looks like Corey froze this time. Oh, there you are. Okay, cool. Anyway, we'll just let this sink in. No touchdowns. I'll say it again in case you didn't get that. No touchdowns.
It's insane that he didn't score.
Who should have gotten the MVP was Todd Bowles. I wish they could give it to a coach because he was the MVP of the Super Bowl. His defense was amazing.
Lights out.
I mean, the Chiefs couldn't do anything. But what I want to know is where was the the adjustment, the halftime adjustment? Andy Reid is famous for, how many times have you seen the Chiefs come out and in the third or fourth quarter, third quarter, they change it up, and that's when they can be behind by 20 points, and the next thing you know, they're winning the game. Apparently, Andy Reid and the coaching staff are really big fans of The Weeknd because they spent all their time watching the halftime show instead of making halftime adjustments.
Oh, that awful halftime show.
So
good. I think
It
it
was
was
okay.
good.
I don't know.
well, we could have a show just about that, but
Yeah,
yeah.
we
So
could.
I mean, seriously, do you guys agree with me? There was no adjustment. It was like they were spending the entire game waiting for that big play. They kept throwing it down, waiting for that big play, waiting for Tyreek Hill. And when you think about it, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he was averaging like about 6 yards a carry, and if they had just done that, they could have just inched their way down the field. But no, we're going to go for the big play.
They were too busy to try to make that big play, the big flashy play, and
Yeah, So a couple of interesting side notes. One, I guess Mahomes is having toe surgery tomorrow.
Mhm.
So, and he's going to be off for 2 to 3 months, and then they expect him to be able to start the season. So that's one.
that's good.
Secondly, at the end of the game, you saw Mahomes and Brady embracing, and reports say the conversation went like this. Mahomes said, "You're a legend, man," and Tom Brady responds, "You're a stud, bro."
You're a stud, bro. Keep in touch. Keep in touch.
Yeah, seriously, like
Yeah.
that was the conversation, But I got one other thing. Gronk.
That's awesome. Gronk.
I want to hear your. Can you talk about it now or not? I mean, can we talk about it?
Oh, my little conspiracy theory.
Yeah. Tell me your conspiracy theory.
So my little, I have a lot of different weird conspiracy theories. So I was watching a lot of pregame, all right?
Mhm.
And I'm a big football fan, and I know that Gronk hasn't done anything all year, but all they talked about was Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski and how much of an element they are to that team. Okay, well, when you look back at the season, you got Mike Evans, you got Chris Godwin, you got Scotty Miller, you got all these receivers who have done way more than Rob Gronkowski. So they focused it all on Gronk and Brady, and look what happened. Gronk gets 2 touchdowns. Bucks win. They're at home. Tom Brady. I was telling Lemp this before the podcast. I'm pretty sure Tom Brady is like the football version of the Homelander from The Boys.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, see? And he's gonna win. He's gonna win 2 more Super Bowls.
I think it's possible. I really do. I think that's what his goal is. I really do. And it's possible, like, so to build off of that, everybody thinks Gronk is like this big stupid guy, right? Well, one of the things he said at the beginning of the season when he went with the Buccaneers, people were saying, well, what are you going to be doing? And he just says, oh, they're just bringing me in to block, with a wink. He says, I'm just here to block.
Until the Super Bowl.
Right.
Exactly.
So, but here's the best Gronk story ever that I've heard, and this cracks me up, and I hope you guys haven't heard this one. But apparently, since they're not having regular, what's the word I'm looking for? Workouts and stuff like they normally do. What they do is they're having everybody do the workouts on Zoom, and they so Gronk was saying he has to do his running drills or whatever, and they have to film it. Then he has to send it in every day. So you've heard this?
Yeah.
I think you told us. I don't know if it was on the pod or separately.
Okay. So
Maybe it was
what
on
he
the
did
dress
was,
rehearsal.
Instead of doing his exercises every day for 5 days, in one day he went and he did his exercise 5 times with 5 different shirts on. And
Smart
sent
guy.
it in. And it's like, yeah, Gronk's really stupid. Okay, just want to.
Street smart, trying to get out of it.
Yeah, so there you go, man. That's pretty much all I have to say about that. But I got to tell you, I was very disappointed in the game. By the fourth quarter, I was just like, is it time for bed yet?
Mhm.
So when does it come out? When does Bucksgate come out? When we find out that Brady and the Bucks cheated to win this Super Bowl?
I'm
Do you think so? You think it'll happen? No, look at all these heads shaking. No.
I don't think so. I think the way they dominated Kansas City in this performance, there's no way. There's no allegations going around. They just came to play. They really prepared themselves. They knew what they had to do to take care of Patrick Mahomes. Like Austin had mentioned earlier, I think one of the beneficial things that they had was they were able to play Kansas City earlier in the season. They were able to see how dangerous Tyreek Hill is. Like Austin mentioned, he went for 200 yards in just over a quarter. And they created a plan to come up with a way to make sure that Patrick Mahomes couldn't get the ball downfield. and that was by applying pressure with just 4. Austin should know a lot, being a Giants fan, about how deadly you can be if you can just apply pressure with 4 pass
It
rushers.
works.
Giants did in both Super Bowls when they beat Tom Brady and the Patriots. And it just goes to show, it sounds so simple of just, oh yeah, just get 4 guys who can get after the quarterback. But obviously it's a really hard thing to do. The way that Tampa just kept getting into Pat Mahomes' face all throughout the night, it was really, I mean, every time. I think he was 0 of 7 on third downs, or 1 of 7 on third downs, or something like that. And I mean,
Yeah.
he's usually immaculate on third down. So it was really impressive to see how well that Tampa Bay prepared for that game and were able to get after Patrick Mahomes.
What a surprise. I mean, like Austin said, I would have never even guessed. If you would have came to me on Saturday or a week before the Super Bowl and said 31-9 Bucks, I would have laughed at you. I was like, what are you talking? Well, you don't think the Bucks are not going to score? But that's
A
football,
touchdown.
man. That's football. And that's what I love about this sport, is that you never know what's
Unpredictable.
going to happen. So, not to talk so much about Brady, because it's Brady. It's all about Tom Brady, Homelander. But a couple milestones for Tom Brady I want to mention. He's the first quarterback to win Super Bowls in 3 different decades. He is, I have these kind of written down here. He's obviously the first player to win 7 Super Bowls. He's the first player to win an NFC and AFC championship game, right? He
First win at home for a Super Bowl team.
He's the first quarterback to win at home, play a Super Bowl at home. This is my favorite. He's the first quarterback to ever win a Super Bowl during a global pandemic. And
He's the first quarterback he's the first
Oh.
quarterback to win where 2/3 of the fans were made of cardboard.
yes. So anyways,
Which, by the way, I thought the NFL did an amazing job putting all those cutouts up there.
I did too. It
The
looked killed.
stadium looked fantastic. And did you know that I wish I had known this earlier, for $100, you were able to get a cutout of you put into the stadium. And so that's what it cost. So think of how much money they made there. So for each one of those cardboard cutouts there, somebody paid $100 and a chance to win 2 Super Bowl tickets for next year.
Pretty cool.
So think about that. Is that awesome? But I mean, the stadium looked beautiful. It was great.
Great stadium. Both Super Bowls, and since they were both in Florida in the last 2 years, I think both were just beautiful. I love it when the Super Bowl's in Miami, and Tampa doesn't happen as much as Miami, but when it was, I mean, great Super Bowl, and they did a good job there. Nice little hometown Super Bowl win for that whole city. So I'm happy for Tampa Bay, because I mean, I always went to Tampa Bay as a vacation spot for my family, so it's kind of cool seeing the trophy come back to one of my old vacation spots when I used to go. So it's always cool to see.
Sorry. I'm trying to figure something out here on my computer because it keeps going bing. Can I get a message? I don't know how to turn that off, and I don't want this on the podcast, but I'm talking about it. I could pause it.
Well, we're not hearing it.
I'm not hearing anything.
I don't know if it shows up on the recording. I guess we'll find out. Hopefully these people don't just ding, 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 ding. If we do, we got some dings.
Oh,
There it is.
You did hear it. Hold on a second. Here we go. We'll be right back.
I had another one too, and I can't remember it.
Oh, we're back. All right. Surprise.
So professional.
So professional. I don't know if maybe I can put like a commercial in there. We'll get there.
well, that's where the ad goes.
We're about 15% professional because of our mics, Billy.
Yes.
Anyways, yes. So, and not that everybody watching this knows that we went away for a second, but we are back. And Colorado mentioned one more milestone. Please share with the group.
He's the first quarterback over 40 years old to win a Super Bowl, which is another impressive feat that he's been able to accomplish. It just goes to show, I mean, ever since he was drafted in the 6th round, he's been determined to win. And I think that's one of the most impressive things about him is his determination to win. We were talking before we started recording about how he's never been one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league. He's never been one of the top 5, I don't think. This year, he was the 16th highest paid quarterback in the league. He took a pay cut to be able to come and play in Tampa Bay. And that just goes to show you how motivated he is to win. And an interesting thing I was reading earlier, after all of his bonuses and everything from making the NFC Championship game and winning the Super Bowl, he actually totaled $28.3 million for his career. And it was just interesting that his number when he won another Super Bowl was 28-3.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. So let me ask you guys a question. So last year, after the Super Bowl, it was up in the air that Tom Brady was not going to be a Patriot any longer. There were only two teams that were seriously interested in him last year, and that was the Buccaneers and the Chargers. Now, this year, we have a guy named Deshaun Watson that apparently every single team is going after. Why? Why is that?
He's young. He can be a franchise quarterback for any one of these teams out there. I think he can really fit in maybe 28 teams. I mean, he's a very good fit. And I think a lot of teams are, I mean, we're playing quarterback roulette right now, and all these quarterbacks are going to different spots. Even happened last year. We had Tom Brady going down to Tampa. We have Phillip Rivers going to the Colts. And I mean, quarterbacks are going everywhere. We had Jameis Winston go up to the Saints, move next door. And, I think it's going to be even more wild this year. And I think all quarterbacks that already started, Matthew Stafford's a Ram. So I think we're going to see a lot of new quarterbacks in a lot of new places. And I'm looking forward to that.
Well, you know how the NFL is always like, whatever they're doing, I want to do that. It's a copycat league. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And with Tom doing what he did this time, it has really raised the ante of, we need a franchise quarterback. We need not just a good quarterback. We need a superstar. So I think the possibility of the Texans getting what they want have increased a lot right now, because everybody wants that guy. We're just one quarterback away from a Super Bowl. You know what I mean? And there's probably about 4 teams out there right now. They're a quarterback away from a Super Bowl. The other thing I think is going to be interesting is, how the trend was for a while, the young coach, the McVays and stuff. It's like, and all the owners go get me a young coach. Go get me a young coach. After the Super Bowl, I wonder, we need somebody with experience.
Oh yeah, I mean, look at Bruce Arians. Look at Andy Reid. They're both high 60s, right?
Oh, that was the thing that cracked me up. There was one interview where they were interviewing Andy Reid, and they said, "Hey, do you know that your combined age with Bruce Arians, you're going to be the oldest combined age of any coaches in the Super Bowl?" And Andy Reid goes, "Wow, Bruce must be really old."
That's awesome.
Good sense of humor.
Yeah, he's great.
So is there anything else you wanted to touch base on the Super Bowl? I mean, it's pretty clear cut on how it went down. Did everybody get a chance to say anything? Dookie? Oh, never mind.
I just wanted to add in about the Brady being chased after by Tampa. I think it just goes to show you how well they had developed that team before. And if you look at the previous season, Jameis Winston had a really interesting year last year when he was the quarterback of that Tampa Bay team. He threw for over 5,000 yards, and he threw for 33 touchdowns, which is amazing statistically. The problem with that was he also threw 30 interceptions, which was a huge impact on that team. That team finished 7-9 last year, so it wasn't like they were horrible. And like Billy had mentioned, they were really a quarterback away. I think that's the main reason why they were so aggressive to go in their pursuit of Tom Brady. I think Tom Brady also looked at that team and saw all the talent and all the weapons that he had available to him. And that's why he made that decision to go down there. Brady was a free agent, which is a lot different than when Deshaun Watson's situation, where Deshaun Watson is under contract. I know he's came out and said that he demanded a trade, but if Houston doesn't want to trade him, they don't have to. And like I mentioned last week, there's a really big financial incentive for Deshaun Watson to play for the Houston Texans next year, even if he's not traded. So unfortunately for Deshaun, I think that if Houston's not willing to trade him, he will be a part of the Texans organization, or he's going to have to make a really tough choice to decide whether or not he wants to play football anymore. From what I've heard, Houston has shut down all trade talks referring to Deshaun Watson. Yeah. They think that they can repair the situation. So it sounds like he might not be on the trade market. And Billy had mentioned earlier a few interesting names that were on the trade market. And one of the most interesting ones that I found was he had mentioned Marcus Mariota. Yep. And he said that one of the teams that was interested in him is New England. And I think that would be a really interesting fit.
Which he was brought up last year as well before they signed Cam.
Exactly. And I think the fact that they're looking for a more mobile type quarterback, a guy who can get out of the pocket and run more of a spread style offense, the way Josh McDaniels wants to run that offense. I think that that's going to be an interesting thing to look at here in this upcoming offseason, is to see how aggressive the Patriots are going to be when they pursue a quarterback. Because, I mean, like Billy said, there's a few teams that are only a quarterback away from winning the Super Bowl next year. And who knows, maybe the Patriots are one of them.
They need a little. Go ahead.
You can't count out the Patriots or even the 49ers, because you got to remember the 49ers were half their team was injured this year. And they were at the same position where the Chiefs are. They're losing Super Bowl, they're losing the Super Bowl, and the next year they go negative. So I think you got to watch out for some of these teams. Patriots are getting a lot of key pieces back. 49ers are going to be healthy. And all these teams are going to be very, very hungry next year. It's going to be, hopefully, crossing fingers, hopefully there's going to be fans in the stadiums next year. That's going to play a huge factor as well. So I think we're going to have a lot to look forward to for next year, and a lot more involvement from fans and even players now, because players are moving around like crazy. It's fun.
I want to ask your guys' opinion of something here.
Yeah.
So today it came up, I think Ian Rappaport was reporting that there's like three or four teams that are just one quarterback away from making a serious Super Bowl run. And the team at the top of his list, believe it or not, was the Bears, because of the defense and the type of receivers they have and whatnot.
David Montgomery too.
Say that again.
David Montgomery too, the running back.
Right.
I think he's
So
very,
could
very
you
talented.
imagine a Deshaun Wilson? I mean, you know what I mean, Deshaun or somebody elite there, right? The 49ers was the other one.
Yep.
And
Jimmy
ready
G.
for this one? Who do you think it is? It was a real surprise, but he said these guys are poised to make a serious run if they have the quarterback. Who do you think?
AFC or NFC? Ooh, Colts.
Colts was the other one, and then there was one surprise. Thanks, that's the one I forgot.
I have a guess,
No, not Chargers. Chargers.
and I think it might be the jersey that I'm wearing.
No.
Okay.
We're talking ready to win right now. They just need a quarterback.
I
Who is
had
it?
heard that the Broncos were looking to replace Drew Lock, and that they thought if they could get a better quarterback than Drew Lock, then that they might be in contention. So that was why I had guessed the Broncos.
Yeah, I know they're looking, and it'll be better. But the other team that according to the experts, Washington football team.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking NFC East, and I was like, Cowboys? No, they got Dak. Eagles, who knows who they have. And of course, who's that other team? I can't never remember what the
Colts, 49ers, Bears, and Washington football team. Yeah. So those are according to the people that get paid to do this. That's who they say is a quarterback away from making a serious run at the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you guys' thoughts? Is there anybody that should be on that list that's not on that list?
I think you should just for kicks and grins, I think you've got to think about the Raiders and the Dolphins a little bit too.
Sure.
Because Dolphins were that close to making it to the playoffs, that close. And I think it's a bummer, and I think they bloomed really, really early. I think no one was expecting the Dolphins to go as far as they did this year. That team, I think, is looking really, really talented. I'm not quite sold on Tua yet. I think he's definitely a work in progress. I mean, he's a rookie. You got to give him some time. You can't have just a superstar rookie sometimes, Justin Herbert. But, I think you can give him some time, maybe keep Fitzmagic in for a little bit longer. I think they plucked him out a little too soon. But that team has a lot of talent. And guess what? They get the third pick in the draft this year. So it's only going to get better. I think, and still adding on to that, I think the Raiders are also a very dangerous team. They got some weapons on offense.
Yeah.
They can figure out some defensive stars down there. I think they could be a very, very competitive team, especially in a very competitive AFC West.
I was also thinking Dolphins when Billy was having us guess. I thought, Dolphins, but then I thought they have Tua, but will Tua stick around? And then I didn't think Raiders. I didn't, but I think you're right. I mean, where's Derek? Is Derek Carr going to play for the Raiders next year?
Maybe Marcus Mariota is the starter next year. That's the part of the fun. Who knows?
What other golf stuff you got? I know you got some more.
Well, I got a great one. So it was on the Dan Patrick show today.
Oh, nice.
He was interviewing Russell Wilson.
A what?
And apparently he confronted Russell Wilson about whether or not he was going to be with the Seahawks forever.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically said, well, I'd like to be, but it's a business. And he alluded to, I don't remember the wording, but apparently the Seahawks have been listening to the phone calls that are coming in. Believe
That
it
is
or not.
so wild to me.
For the right price, you know.
Yeah.
So wild.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I could see him in turquoise and orange down in Miami.
Yeah. But seriously, but I mean, he made no bones about it that, he definitely didn't think he'd be finishing his career there, even though he wants to.
That blows my. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess anything's possible, right?
Yeah. Maybe he goes somewhere to win. I mean, Tom Brady did wonders for him.
Oh, look at Peyton Manning. He left Indy.
Same story. Put on orange and won a Super Bowl. Not necessarily was because of him.
LeBron
but-
James.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, LeBron James. He's moving. He can go to the Cavaliers. He can go to the Lakers. He wins. He just wins. Winning mentality, and that's what you need to win this league right now. Another rumor that I heard, and this is a pretty deep one, is Andrew Luck
Could be coming back.
maybe
Yep.
itching to come back a little bit. I've heard. Maybe.
Let me ask a question, and maybe this is probably more towards Lent. You, how does it work with that? Let's say Andrew Luck wanted to come back. Is he still under contract with Indy to have to come back and play for them, or can they trade him? Much like Gronk did, he got traded from the Patriots to the Bucs, technically, right? Same idea.
You're exactly right. If Andrew Luck did decide to come out of retirement, the Indianapolis Colts would own his rights. And what they decided to do with them, if they wanted to allow him to be the quarterback of the Colts and come in and be their starter, they could do that.
Yep.
If they wanted to trade him away and let him go play for another team, they could do that as well. I actually do know this because it's escaping me right now, the name of the Colts GM. Anyways, he was
it's okay.
on one of my favorite shows, the Pat McAfee Show. And Pat McAfee was actually asking about if Pat were to come out of retirement
And play for the
come
Colts.
back and kick again in the NFL. And Chris Ballard, that's his name, came back to me. And Chris Ballard explained to Mr. McAfee that in order for him to come out of retirement and play for another team in the NFL, that the Colts would have to trade away his rights. So that's exactly how that would go down. I have not heard the Andrew Luck thing. The one thing I have heard is Carson Wentz. I've heard that Carson Wentz talks have
There
gone.
it is.
I've heard that Frank Reich, who is the coach of the Colts, is excited to get back with Carson Wentz and work with him again, just the way he was his offensive coordinator in Wentz's MVP caliber season when the Eagles eventually won the Super Bowl. I think that would be an interesting dynamic to have the two of them working together again. I think that Wentz is really upset about the way that things were handled in Philadelphia. I think that having Jalen Hurts there creates a quarterback controversy, and maybe you can question Carson Wentz's mental toughness having to go through a quarterback controversy and earn that spot back. But at the same time, he was a starter. He got benched and Hurts came in and he played well. So I think that you have to give Hurts a shot. If that creates a quarterback controversy, that's never a good thing. So, and I think it's in the best interest of Philadelphia to trade one of those away, whether it's Wentz or Hurts. I think that one of them is going to have to go. Hopefully Philadelphia can get a haul for them. It's just really interesting to see. I mean, 3 years ago, Philadelphia won the Super Bowl and everyone was talking about how they're going to be the team to be in the future. And they really have struggled to live up to that expectation. And now with Peterson getting fired and then bringing in a bumbling media interview coach to direct.
We gotta be smart, and when you're smart, you're smart. You're not stupid.
Exactly. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see what Philadelphia does here over the next few days and whether or not Carson Wentz is traded. I've also heard he could be traded to the Bears, which was an interesting team on Billy's list.
I don't mind that.
They really do have one of the better defenses in the league. And then Matt Nagy was the offensive coordinator for the Chiefs when they back under Andy Reid. So he obviously knows how to run an offense. I think he struggled trying to find a way to work with Trubisky just because Trubisky isn't the best at throwing to his left. So when you're limited to throwing to half the field, it really eliminates the plays that you can run on offense. So it would be really interesting to see how well that having a quarterback of Wentz's caliber would be in Chicago. I thought another interesting name on that list, Billy, was the Washington football team. Look what they did with that carousel of quarterbacks that they had this year. They still were able to win that division. They still were able to make a playoff game. And I mean, let's be honest, they kept the Bucs in check for a lot of that game with, I think his name is Tyler Heineke as their quarterback.
Yes, he was so fun to watch too.
Exactly. So I think honestly, if Washington could go out and get a quarterback, or Alex Smith, it was an awesome story, winning comeback player of the year after his horrendous injury to his broken leg. It was really nice to see. I just don't think that he has what it takes to continue on as a quarterback. I know they got rid of Haskins, so it would be interesting to see what Washington does this offseason to see if they do try and pursue a quarterback, because, I mean, let's be honest, they made the playoffs last year. That division is up for grabs. The Giants did look better, but I'd say who knows what's going on in Philadelphia, who knows what's going on in Dallas right now with the whole Dak Prescott.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
Dak's got to get paid.
I think this is a perfect opportunity for Washington to make a move and open up their window to repeat as division champions.
It's going to be so exciting to see all this quarterback shuffle.
Quick
We'll make a little
question.
song out of it.
Speaking of that, so Trubisky, who else? Who did they pass up to get Trubisky again that year?
Well,
I
two people
believe
actually.
It was Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson, if I'm
Yeah, that's right.
mistaken.
So I'll leave you all with this. Okay, a little story. So right now, the only two teams that seem interested in Carson Wentz are the Colts, and with the coach connection there, and the Bears. So let's assume the Bears are really hungry and they really want that quarterback, and they get him, and he's reunited with Nick Foles. And then you know where the story's going.
Keep it going. Keep it going.
So then what's going to happen is Wentz, with his leadership skills and his football plan, is going to take them through the most amazing season. And right at the end of the season, he's going to have an injury, probably tear his ACL or something like that. And Nick's going to come. He's going to come in, take them to the Super Bowl. Bam. And then Carson Wentz was never heard from again.
I think you call that the Foles effect, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah. So, but I mean, really, if he does go to the Eagles, if he does go to the Bears, what happens to Foles? I can't imagine them on the same roster again.
Does Philly bring Foles back?
That's what I was thinking.
They've got a
like,
statue of him
serious,
outside
not
of the
serious.
stadium.
Maybe.
You know?
You might have to.
Wow. It's gonna get super exciting. A couple other things I want to talk about before we end this. I want to talk about things that are way too soon to talk about, but it's fun to talk about it because it's 2 days after the Super Bowl. So with that being said, I think it'll be fun for all four of us. I wish Duke was here to pick some teams, but I want to make way too early Super Bowl predictions for next year.
We should say like division winners from each division. Or do you want to call the Super Bowl?
We'll do that.
Let's just call the Super Bowl.
Let's do Super Bowl. I'll start because I already know who I'm picking.
Patriots.
I'm not picking the Patriots, but I am sticking to the AFC East for the Bills against Matthew Stafford and the Los Angeles Rams. So I'm picking Bills Rams for my way too early 2 days after Super Bowl 55 pick. What do you got, Lent?
I mean,
go with your gut. Go with your gut.
Happen in this offseason, but if I just have to go off the top of my head, I am going to go with the Bills as well. I think they really showed they had what it takes to make a playoff run. They got the experience. Hopefully they can keep that roster together. And then, I mean, honestly, I'm going to pick Tampa Bay. They just won it. They're going to bring back a lot of the core of that team. They've done a really good job of building the team that they have. They're keeping all of their coaching staff in place, which turned out to be one of the best there was. I mean, they won 7 games in a row after their bye week this week. They really made the adjustments they needed to do. So yeah, I'm going to go Tampa Bay versus Buffalo for my way too early Super Bowl pick.
That's a fantastic pick. I think Billy, you're going to go last. So Austin.
All right. So I think we're counting out that the Kansas City Chiefs still went 14-2 this year. And that last game didn't matter because they didn't start their starters. So they lost 1 game all year, and they've lost 1 game ever by multiple scores, which was on Sunday. I think the Chiefs are going to come back. And you still got so many important pieces there, and a lot of them are still staying. Patrick isn't going anywhere. Travis Kelce, he's going to be 31-32 next year. Could be toward the end of his. He might not be a superstar like he was this year, but he's still going to be dangerous. You got Tyreek Hill, you got Mecole Hardman, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and they're going to be only getting better. Helaire, remember, he's just a rookie, so you got to kind of pump that in. One of the running backs, Williams, I know Damian Williams, I think it is Damian Williams, will be coming back because he sat out.
So you're saying Chiefs
3
years in a row.
AFC. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
I like it. That's gutsy, but I like it.
And
Who do you got for the
hurts.
NFC? Who do you got for NFC?
This one hurts.
The Giants.
I don't want to say it. Gonna be the Packers.
Okay.
Gotta be the Packers. I don't see how you can go 13-3, 2 years in a row, get to the conference game, and you can't get to the Super Bowl. I mean, it's almost dumb of me to do this because, they're going to probably lose the conference game again next year. But this team is so talented, and Aaron Rodgers, he's probably going to have another very good season. Is it going to be as good as this season? Maybe. But that team has so much going for them, and it's hard to count them out because you still got a large majority of the cast coming back, and have Bakhtiari. He's going to be back. He's going to be healthy. They have a great offensive line. They have a good offense. You bring in some help, maybe some receivers, maybe some run stuffers. That team is going to be unstoppable. I'm not going to count out the Buccaneers yet, but the Buccaneers at one point of the season, I believe that they were 7-5 in the season at one point. So the Buccaneers, they can get hot, they can get cold. I watched the Buccaneers get annihilated at home against the Saints. And it could happen. You don't know. And that's the part of the fun. But I'm going to say Packers Chiefs.
I like it. Packers Chiefs. I guess I can't really argue somebody's opinion, no way. I mean, the Bucs, they got hot when they did. They were still trying to figure out what kind of team they were in the first half of the season. But these are just way too early picks.
Mm-hmm.
And what is your pick, Billy?
Well, first of all, Austin, congratulations. You picked what Vegas has picked.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
So that's Packers Chiefs. So that's their, what they're saying it's going to be. Guys, it's going to be another history making Super Bowl. Chiefs go 3 times, and the Buccaneers.
The Giants.
No, against the Buccaneers, man. It's going to be a repeat. It's going to be the Brady Mahomes Bowl 2.
Cool.
And I wasn't originally going to say that. I was going to originally go Chiefs and Packers, but after watching the game on Sunday, I think Brady's got too much gas in the tank. And the thing is, consider the fact that the Buccaneers really didn't become the Buccaneers until halfway through the season, and they're going to be starting off. They're going to be starting off knowing who they are. Think about that. I don't think we've seen the best of the Buccaneers yet, and that's frightening.
No,
because
totally.
they started off the first half of the year with everybody like trying to get in everybody's way. We're going to do it my way. We're going to do it my way, and it was a big mess. Too many cooks, too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah.
So so we're gonna. So there you go, man. That's Billy's bold prediction. Just like, who did I pick to win the Super Bowl again?
Bucks. Yeah. So did I. Hey, so did the coin.
Coins? How was the coin? Did we write down the coins? What's its record right now?
I would have to go back and look. I don't have it in front of me, but I think the coin might be like 2-1.
Yeah.
Out of all the times
right than wrong.
The coin's usually right. And next season, it's going to be fun because we're going to have to side with the coin and figure out how the Jets beat the Bucks. Because they do play next year.
Next year, it's going to be a good year, I think. It's going to be fun.
Current power rankings for next season, it says NFL power rankings way too early. 1, Chiefs. 2, Bills. 3, Packers. 4, Bucks. 5, Rams. So
what about the Buccaneers?
4 was the Bucks.
Oh, Bucks. Oh, 4 was Bucks. That's what you said.
And then you got Ravens, Browns, Seahawks, 49ers, and Titans. Sounds right.
It's going to be a great year next year.
But this is before the quarterback shuffle. We don't know what's going to happen.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Anybody have any closing comments you want to make about the season, about the Super Bowl?
We finished an NFL season. It's done. We did it.
In a global pandemic.
We did it.
Can't believe we
did
that.
Not one game was missed. Not one.
Speaking of, just real quick,
I didn't have any quarterbacks. That was fun.
There's one team. I don't know, maybe there's more than one, but I know one team in the entire league had 0 cases the entire year. Can you name that team?
No.
The Seattle Seahawks.
The Seattle Seahawks.
Really?
They did not have one COVID case the entire year. I thought that was pretty cool.
Pete Carroll knows what's up.
Pete Carroll does know what up.
He's a little older, so he's got to stay safe.
Well, thanks again. We'll be back soon. Sooner than later, we'll say.
With the draft spectacular.
The
draft spectacular quarterback shuffle. I'm excited. Lent, Billy, Austin, all of you, have a good night.